We left off immediately after,
The ass whooping.
a not fun battle for the ship.
I'm
Like-
sorry, I just looked at my notes and look at my obsession section.
Oh no, he's not okay.
Did the body fuck this guy in this stupid fucking spaceship squid monster grabby hell thing? Is what Amy last session wrote down in the notes.
That just copy paste that into the quotes.
Oh
The
fuck.
stupid fucking spaceship squid monster grabby hell thing. That now needs to be the descriptor on D&D Beyond for an aesthetic.
Oh fuck, famous last words. I gotta control shift. Paste. Session.
But-
What session was that? 26.
Grabby squiddy hell
Alright,
world.
sorry
Grabby
about that.
squiddy
I just
hell
noticed that and I couldn't contain myself.
Yeah, you guys got off of Brawl with one extra surprise guest, where Crux and I forgot his name.
Lynch?
Lynch. There we go.
Yes. Thank you. I always forget Flinch for some reason, man.
I had it halfway there. I don't know why my brain auto translated it. Actually, I do know, because I was about to say he brought on Starbow as a surprise guest, and because Starbow starts with ST, I was thinking Stench. I'm like, I know that's not his name.
That'd be a way good nickname.
It would be a good nickname. But we got Starbow. Edgy fucking trans teenager.
Mm-hmm. Who
Not Ray's mom.
He's a stanky Groot, is what he is.
Yep. He at the very least, to Starbow's credit, as rude and mean as he was to the non-plants of the group, he held his own
Yo.
for the most part against the giant squid thing.
Yes, he did.
As
Good
much
on
as a
him.
stationary plant can, he did some damn good work.
Threw some big ass rocks.
Mm-hmm. And so you guys got off of Brawl. Everybody was on the ship. You got kind of blasted out of movement from the aesthetic. You guys were also heading towards a Topa, who is another kind of star chart creator that Crux knows, who might be able to get you guys safely to Doom Space through the Astral Sea. When you were stopped by this Rygar and his ship thing. And it didn't turn out well for anybody, but especially not well for Booker.
True. Ah! Green Arrow.
But, that being said, he says immediately after the battle, there's been just enough time for Button, who has discovered what rage is, to heal up most people to where they are not great necessarily for everybody, but on their feet and not dying actively, which is an improvement.
Mm-hmm.
And the aesthetic has, as soon as you killed the Rykar and his duplicate, immediately fled, so that is no longer anywhere near you guys.
Damn. Well,
Okay.
on that note, Booker's gonna walk over to the dead body of this person. We have their name in like the log of roles, but they did not actually give their name, did they?
No. Nobody asked their name. There was an immediate attack, so
Yeah.
there was no opportunity for a lot of back and forth.
Shit really popped right off.
You gotta
So
roll it.
Booker is like going to rifle through their pockets, take everything that's inside of their pockets outside of their pockets, for good measure.
How do you spell Rygar?
So are you Rygar? Reigar.
Thank you.
Pretty sure. If it's not that, it's very, very close to that.
Okay.
Are you trying to fully loot the body, or are you just going through the pockets right now?
So Booker is going to fully loot the body, but it is worth noting that he is going to he's handling the body like it is just a wet rag. Like he's grabbing and shaking and very, very not just totally uncaring for the dead. There's like looting someone, checking their pockets as they're dead, not really trying to move the body too much. This is someone who is very clearly upset, shaking a corpse until the gold coins fall out.
Oh my god.
So, let me double check this. Roll me investigation and history.
Investigation. Where is it? There we go. And normal. And then history. Normal. So we got an 11 on the investigation and a 21 on the history.
Okay. So, pull this up. There we go. As you are kind of looting this body, you can already feel this Rygar starting to kind of, rather than going rigid and with the
Rigor mortis.
Yeah, rigor mortis. Rygar's being completely different biologically start to kind of go mush ever so slowly. And you can already feel the body starting to relax, and all of the different fibers and strands of muscle and little bits and pieces of exoskeleton that Rygars have start to soften. And as you search through the pockets and through the belt and everything, you find, number one, well, actually, I should say this first. Is everyone leaving this body to Booker, or is anybody else trying to rifle through this body as well?
I mean, Button would be more interested in the biological aspect of what the fuck is this thing, but they have no interest in loot.
Okay, gotcha. So I'm also going.
Realizes. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was just saying. Trixie sees the frustration in Booker and just giving him a bit of space.
Gotcha.
Button's just paying attention to how the body is moving and behaving.
I will also need a perception from you, Booker.
So,
as you start to kind of shuffle through everything, ooh, that's good, that is on this body, in the pockets, and being held by this body, or was being held by this body, you see first what you immediately recognized as what is called a Talarith. Talarith.
Talarith?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And it's if you look at the image of this person, it's that kind of gold collar around his neck, sprinkled with various pieces of blue gemstones of different kinds, some glowing, some not. And you've been around enough that you know this piece of jewelry, this Talarith, to be something that is created by and only usable by Rygars. It is something that they create out of their own celestial magic. And it allows them to not only do much more damage than they would otherwise, but it allows them to summon duplicates of themselves formed of their own energy. As you realize that, you kind of look over your shoulder and you look and see the other body, and you see it disintegrating much faster, and it is actually disintegrating, not kind of going bad like this one is. It's you see little flecks of kind of golden light slowly drifting away from it, and it just seems to be more fading than anything. And as you look over, you see there is no Talarith on that body. There's only on this body.
Okay. So, question.
Mhm.
Is a Talarith in that regard kind of a religious symbol, or not necessarily?
It's less a religious symbol, it's more of a cultural symbol.
Okay. Okay, that's sort of what I thought.
Mhm. It still
So-
has a lot of value to it because it does have like the gemstones and everything on it. It's just that the magic that it grants people is only usable by somebody that is of a similar celestial nature.
Am I able to determine is there a value that Booker would relatively know or could know? Like, we talking hundreds of gold coins, or maybe like 20 to 50?
If you're just looking at the gemstones, with the number of gemstones and the quality that a couple of them seem to possess, you're talking well into the hundreds.
I'm gonna roll. I'm gonna call this a cranky check. Because Yep. All right. So Booker sees the Talarith, looks at it, sees the gem encrusted, looks back at the body, sees the other body like slowly fading into non-existence. Booker looks back at the one that he's not like straddling. He's kind of taking a knee next to. He looks at the Talarith in his hand, and you can see his fingers close over it and white knuckle grip it, and he is still very visibly seething in rage. And he is going to cock back a fist and punch the Talarith into the corpse's mouth and shut its mouth like it's a front door.
Here, I was expecting you to yeet it off the ship.
Nope. He's gonna shove it into the corpse's open mouth, close the mouth, and then you can hear under his breath him say, "Fucking choke on it." And he is going to continue ripping open parts of pockets and body to find what other worthwhile things he can find, if anything.
Okay. So, just as going through this magic items to non-magic items, because it's shiny versus plot. So the other shiny that you find on this is the trident that Hastane was using. As you kind of pick it up and examine it, it shines this very pure, almost like quicksilver color. And as you kind of have it in both hands for a second and are examining it, you see a spark of magic run up the shaft, and just at the very base of this trident, you see the magic kind of circle around, and it looks like an eye has formed there, like traced into the trident. So you know this is magical in some form. and it is heavy, pure metal, from what you can tell.
Okay. So here's a more meta level question, because it's different strokes for different DMs.
Mhm.
Do you recognize like the name of a spell in character? Like if Booker were to say, "Hey, this is the identify spell," or would he say something that is more like, "Oh, this is a spell that's used to determine the like
Uh, since we have
qualities and
wizards,
properties?"
since we have wizards in this and everything, it would be on a character by character basis. But
Okay.
yes, they would. So like Booker being a little bit more wizardly trained might recognize identify versus Button, who is nature trained, or Trixie, who really doesn't have magic. They might, if they hung around like Micken enough, but just naturally no. So I kind of leave that up to you guys as to what makes sense for your character to know and not know.
Okay, so it's a character by character basis. That's
Yes.
fair. Grabbing the trident and examining it, seeing that brief glint of magical power, Booker will look at it, turn it over once, like kind of rotate it down the axis of the pole, kind of examine some of the runes and etchings, and then he doesn't like stand up, but his head pops up like periscope style, and he starts looking left and right until he spies Micken, and he will make direct eye contact with Micken. And I imagine eye contact with Booker right now feels like a slap to the face, particularly to Micken, because he is in a mood. But he sees Micken, and when he locks onto Micken, he will toss the trident very lazily to him, not point first, like toss it so that the pole is pointing towards Micken, so that he can like it'll like clatter to the ground, and it won't. He's not like trying to hurt Micken. He's just grumpy and disgruntledly throwing the trident without any real care. He's like tosses it to him, and you can hear he'll just say under his breath, very grumbly, and just say, "Identify this," and just toss it.
See, Micken is kind of like watching what's going on. He's currently over by Starbow, kind of inspecting the damage that was done, even though Starbow seems not super thrilled to have this human kind of poking and prodding him. But they're not actively antagonizing each other at the moment. And he feels the gaze before he looks, and he immediately kind of tucks his head down, turtles up a little bit, looks your direction, and opens his mouth to question before you toss the trident at him. And to his credit, he does actually reach out and partially catch it. Not quite fast enough, not quite dexterous enough to like keep it fully from hitting the ground, but he does keep the higher end from hitting the ground. And just you just okay, yeah, I can do that, and go sit himself on a crate and start kind of really closely examining this trident. You can see magic sparking out from his fingers as he starts to work on it. And just so that I don't forget to do this, I'll go ahead and share this with you guys. Just this.
Oh, Joe, I did put in the notes that Booker got a nat 1 on a cranky check, is what you said.
Hell yeah.
Got a nat 1 after rolling a nat 20.
I'm not.
Welcome back.
Hell yeah.
He identifies it as the Trident of the Vigilant Eye.
Mm.
So, basically lets you have a +1 bonus to spell attack rolls while you're wielding it. When you are attuned to it, a floating eye appears out of the top of the trident to keep eye on the person that it is attuned to. While you are attuned to it and wielding it, you can't be surprised. The eye will automatically detect anybody sneaking up and warn you or warn the user, and it has 1 charge that is regained at a long rest, and you can use it to send the eye out to scout your surroundings for up to a minute. And it can move up to 100 feet per round. So it can go out really, really far from you. And it can move through doors that aren't protected by any magical means.
Damn.
That's pretty good.
Pretty good. Nice.
On a meta level, I see this being pretty cool for Button, if you want it.
I mean, if no one else wants it, I'm not gonna let it go to waste.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, Button isn't really the type to, like, want new things. So, if Booker or Trixie wants it instead, all
Or
of it.
if you want to sacrifice it to an NPC, technically, Micken can wield it as well.
Technically, he can wield it.
Hmm.
What do you mean, does he have proficient? What?
It counts as a polearm, which is a simple weapon.
Mm-hmm.
Ah.
Polearm quarterstaff, and he has proficiency in that.
Hey, okay, cool. I'm
One
down
of like
for whatever.
8 things wizards can use as a weapon. But
I'm
it
down
is
for
a useful item for him. Yeah, same.
It is. Especially anxiety.
The anxiety eye.
Yeah. Honestly, I feel like this would give him some, like, closure. If he can't be surprised.
See, what's funny to me is I think it would probably make his anxiety settle for a little bit and then just spike because he's like, what if I'm not seeing something? What if it's invisible? I need to check around these corners and this corner, and he's going to just make himself more anxious.
I mean, if Trixie or Booker don't want it, I'm cool with Button taking it or giving it to Micken.
We can let you all stew on who gets that for a second. We
Okay.
don't need it to be applied right now.
Now we get the plot items.
Now you start getting the plot items. Oh, and you also find 50 gold in his pocket. That is not a plot item, but that's a shiny. So whoever
50
is
gold?
yeah,
Perfect.
whoever is keeping up with the group gold.
Where is the group?
Joe has
like,
it, doesn't he?
I have a certain amount of gold. I don't think we've officially grouped anything yet, but I would very much like to hold the 50 gold, because with exactly 50 gold, I have 555 total gold.
I was gonna say,
Perfect.
I can ruin it for you by adding Button's gold.
And I will also throw out there that if you guys are wanting to keep group gold where it's easy for everybody to see, you do have the current cargo
True.
that you all players have access to. So that's stuff that you can make note of that you don't want your characters to carry, that you just want to leave on the ship that might be too large for anybody to carry. And you can also add a gold tracker on there as well if you would like.
Hey, I'm down for putting it in the
I
correct
agree with this.
Okay. So if you guys, I will keep a double record of it in Booker's inventory, just because I've already started keeping track of gold. But I will put exactly the same count in this place here.
Mhm.
So, two
And then
total
add 9.
gold.
Just gonna throw buttons in there.
So Button has 9, Booker has 555, Trixie has how much?
I'm checking right now. One sec.
Mm-hmm.
Inventory. I don't think I had much. I have 41.
Wow. You had 41 and Button had 9.
Yo! And even 50.
Well, you
That's
can
fucking clean.
technically you can throw Mickens 10 that he had from his character creation in if you want.
Plus, I'll take it. Plus another 10.
Yes.
How much does Liliana have?
Don't know.
No idea.
Unsure? Okay.
No idea.
Then
Put a note that
right
Lily's
now-
is not added.
615. Not counting Liliana. There we go. Perfect. That is a nice clean number.
Yeah, because she has not tracked her stuff on her character sheet on Roll20, so I don't know.
Gotcha.
But you find gold in one of his pockets, and you also find a little kind of almost look like an address book type of little notebook in one of his kind of breast pockets. As you pull it out, let me see here. This is something I have not moved over to my obsidian as of yet. Which is unfortunate.
I
Yeah, as you flip through it, you see that he seems to be keeping pretty meticulous notes. However, Booker, as you're looking through it, the only thing that you easily recognize is the dates of his notes, as the rest of it is written in a language that you're not really fluent in.
Oh.
Actually, hold on. I don't know what you're fluent in anymore. I need to update that shit with the class change.
I can tell you, I am fluent in Common, Celestial, Primordial, and Deep Speech.
Okay. So you are fluent in this one. I am sorry, I am corrected.
I am sorry that my languages have been fucky-wucky.
So you kind of squint at it, and it's another language that you've not come across recently, so it kind of takes you a moment to translate it in your head, like recognize it, and then start the translation process in your head. You realize that he is writing in Celestial. And
Oh.
you can tell that Haston has kept pretty meticulous records of seemingly meetings that he goes to. Both meetings that seem to be of a business nature and even of a personal nature. Not so much that he is taking note of every single thing that is said, but you see a date and a time of like, okay, I'm meeting this person at this time on this day at this place, and then you'll see like a couple of bullet points of like what was important that happened at that meeting, or what was needs to happen from that meeting. It's just a couple of notes to remind himself of when and what was said rather than the full conversation written out. Are you skimming through everything? Are you trying to go to one place or another? What you doing?
Probably gonna skim through very quickly. but make a mental note to go back through in detail later. So just a quick glance through. Do I get any more than what you told me?
You can choose to roll either an one more investigation or one more history.
Investigation or history? I will do investigation. So we're gonna roll another 11. My bonus is double, mind you.
Wow. So, as you are flipping through, you quickly realize that this Haston is, or more properly was, some sort of aristocrat or noble or high-ranking figure on Brawl. You don't... Through all the times you've been to Brawl and hung out around Brawl, you've learned some of the names of important people. You've never really met them. You've never hung out around them. You go to places like the Rock Rat, you're not going to find the prince and his companions there.
Mm-hmm.
But you know their names, or at least a small handful of names, and you see that Haston has met with some of the kind of higher tier nobles on a few occasions, so you get the sense that he is not like sitting in private dinners with the prince all the time, but he would definitely be a high city person. And you can tell that he has some sort of shipping company, as you see notes about meeting with executives and higher names with the shipping company quite often. So either he owns it, or he is an investor in it, or something.
Okay.
You also see a note from about 2 or 3 weeks ago that, rather than being laid out standard, where you have a name and a date and a location and a relation or a job title or something, you just see Imperial Representative and a location. And that's it.
A location on Brawl?
On Brawl. And the most recent, the very last entry that you see in this notebook, again, has Imperial Representative and a location on Brawl. Whereas the first one, there was no notes underneath it. This one does have 2 notes on it. One states simply that the representatives are concerned about some questions that have been going on Brawl. And then the second note, they have offered me a reward for taking care of what they're concerned about.
Mm-hmm. Booker. Since I already said he was skimming through it and he's not gonna like slow down, he'll like thumb or dog ear that page. Whatever page he happened to see where he's like something, take care of the thing we're worried about.
Mm-hmm.
Either that page or whatever page kind of tipped him off to it, because that's going to be something that he'll want to dig into later to verify whether or not it is him and the crew here that were needing to be taken care of. But he'll dog ear it, snap the journal shut, and then do the little head swivel thing, look around, spy Button, and he'll frisbee the book towards Button.
I imagine Button has to tiptoe, reach up to catch.
Mm-hmm. He didn't frisbee it like aggressively or hard. So yeah, he's not trying to like bean you with it.
No, but I imagine he's still used to like frisbeeing stuff towards people that are taller.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Probably a little jump to try and catch it.
I do know, however, Button does not read Celestial.
Nope. But Button
Well-
doesn't know what it's written in. They just see Booker tossing them a book. And they're like, oh, a book. Interesting.
Booker also doesn't know that you don't speak Celestial. He's just like, cool, make note of this. Doesn't realize, like, he's reading it, doesn't
Mhm.
internalize the language that he's reading in. He's just kind of, like, autopiloting. Frisbee's the book because he's like, book, Button will want it. Here.
Button catches the book. It's a little cheatery at first. But they're ready that they write themselves. They look at the book. Okay, cool. They open it. They skim through a page. They turn the page. They look at another page, and then another, and then another. They close the book. They walk up to Booker. I cannot read this.
When you say the Booker has gone back to searching the body and is, again, very, very, like, tunnel vision focused on looting through this corpse. He kind of flinches at the noise. Not that you were speaking loudly, but he just didn't realize that other people made noise for a second. And, like, he jumped and then turned around. He will scoot away from you, like, not far, just like 6 inches. Put a little distance between you and him. And he'll just look at the book, look Button. Fine, give it here. Translate it.
Gib.
Grabs it. Then looks at it. Will flip the book around and grab it by the top and stick the book like inside a coat pocket.
What language is it in?
He stops looting again, and then pull the book out really slowly and look at it. Takes a second to process it and just goes, Celestial. Looks like.
It's the old out for him.
I'll toss it to Trixie.
When you want to read it later, Button, just let me know. I'll translate it for you.
Nod, nod, nod.
Is this body, by the way, because you said it's getting softer and mushier, is it just getting even more phlegmy and, like, melted?
Yes. It
Because
is.
at a certain point, Booker is just going to start taking, like, gobs of this person and just throwing them out of the way like he is scooping mud.
Button would like to poke and investigate the substance that this creature is turning into.
The best way that I can describe it is after a point, it will essentially be what you would imagine like jellyfish on a beach.
Oh.
I don't know what jellyfishes on the beach are like.
You can
Really?
imagine that.
I don't know. Does it harden? Does it shrink? Does it melt? I don't know.
Because their body doesn't have any sort of substance that will coagulate in the air,
Mhm.
it basically dissolves. It turns into melted pudding, and their body just completely collapses. They have nothing to hold themselves together.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Yeah, so you probably literally could grab a fistful of him and scoop it up and hold it, which is revolting. This revolts me.
See, Button is a weird little guy. So they're not going to grab a handful, but they will, I don't know, get out. Let me see their inventory. I imagine they have like a vial.
You could scoop a vial of him, I bet.
Yeah. Can Button scoop a vial?
Sure. You get a vial of Rygar goo.
Button has acquired a vial of Rygar goo.
But yeah, you continue kind of poking around, and you see a handful of other like little bits and pieces that Hastine has on him. You see like a pair of bespoke glasses that have been crushed in the fight. You see actually, who has not ruled for me today? Amy.
I was about to say, can Button
Roll me a-
mending on glasses, new glasses.
Yeah, you can mend the glasses. You get some
Hey.
shiny, kind of gold rimmed, old school glasses.
Hey.
Roll me a d10 Button.
Writing down the description of the glasses because it's important to me. Is it a D10?
Yes.
Got an 8.
So you find like a chip of a blue sapphire. It's worth about 50 gold.
In the goop?
In one of his pockets. The clothing
Okay.
stays the same. The body just gooifies.
Okay, okay. Worth how much is it?
50.
50 gold. Okay. Well. Button holds it up. Booker or Trixie. I found this.
Yeah, again, Booker has like been tunnel visioning. You speak up. He notices that you are close enough to be looting the body to which Booker is kneeling again, or kneeling next to. He flinches at the sound of your voice, and then looks up, sees you, and then will scoot away from you again.
Button backs away.
As the two of you are kind of having this odd back and forth beside the body, Crux has kind of gathered and composed himself, and steps a little closer and squints, and the face is the last thing to kind of gooify on the right guard. He kind of squints, and you can see him pull out a monocle out of a pocket and lift it to his eye and lean a little bit further over the body. And Flinch slowly kind of moves up behind him and is kind of peeking out underneath one of his arms, also looking at this body. And you see a deep frown on Flinch's face as Crux just lets out this kind of scoff of disgust. Old bastard, is about time he showed up, I guess.
Crux scoffs and speaks. Booker looks up, notices him and Flinch there, and he like staggers backwards and scoots away from the body, like giving himself space from all of them, everybody. and just he doesn't just stagger backwards. It's kind of like a sudden like like startled him, like somebody snuck up behind him or something, and he'll look up and see Crux and flinch and be like, "Fine, you fucking search the body," and he'll stand up, dust himself off, and walk over here and just lean against the wall. Be like, "You know this fucking guy?"
And the movements are enough that you see flinch, his eyes kind of follow Booker. He doesn't say anything, he doesn't move towards Booker or try to stop him or anything. But there's that very clear, like, okay, you're on some weird shit right now. And Crux nods a little bit. I encountered him at one point. Well, not at one point, really. Last time I tangled with the Xerxian Empire. It's an old ally of theirs.
Button's gonna turn to the Rygar and just point. It's like, did you know him specifically? Or what this pile was?
I unfortunately crossed swords with him once. Oh, I must say I'm surprised. Usually he's one that keeps his hands clean. Prefers to sit up in his ivory tower and watch everybody else do the dirty work.
Was your previous encounter have something to do with his ally son as well, or was this something different?
Crux nods. Last time I tried to gather some ships to deal with the Imperial Fortress, he threw a couple of his ships in my way. Did just enough damage to make my fleet almost worthless.
Word got around fast then, didn't it?
Well,
We were only, I mean, we didn't talk to a lot of people, did we? Okay, you said Booker and got your name again. And we were only there a couple days.
Flinch kind of gives a shrug as he's straightening out his clothes a little bit and kind of picking at a few places that have been melted by the acid from the tentacles. And you can see him mentally cataloging things he's going to have to fix over the next couple of days. Oh, well. Probably partially because of us. He just kind of gestures from himself to Crux. Everybody on the rock seemed to know that we had issues with the Imperials. And I think they're on high alert since they're finally attacking realm space. They want to squash any issues that might arise before it gets too bad.
Booker pulls at the collar of his jacket and kind of just adjusts himself. And he'll just it's not really a scoff so much as it's like a sharp exhale. And he'll just, you don't need to play with your fucking cards close to your chest. If this dude came after you, or at least associates us with what you were all doing before we were banded together for very long, it's too late for that now. We're already off Brawl. Doesn't matter. What are the odds that more of them come for us?
And Crux kind of looks over his shoulder out towards wild space. You can see him slowly turn, kind of taking in your surroundings. Well, I think that really depends on how fast we can get to Topla and out of the sphere. Once we get into the astral sea, we're as good as gone.
Let's be super paranoid if they're worried about one lady shit.
Flinch just
I don't
kind
doubt our capabilities, but like, we are just one thing.
Flinch just kind of looks towards you, Trixie. And there's just this... It's a very hard to read expression on his face. Oh. You're not used to dealing with the particularly unsavory sort, are you? Doesn't matter how small the threat. Any threat is an issue.
She just kind of shrugs in response, not really kind of confirming that she hasn't dealt with these kinds before.
But I think the best thing we can do is see if we can get the Spelljammer helm working again. Or at the very least, try to figure out how long it's going to take for it to power itself back up. Sitting out here on our own without any way of properly moving is just about as bad as having another one of those things pop up again. And he just kind of like gestures vaguely towards the sky, like the squid is going to appear again.
Booker's now kind of hyper aware of the fact that the ship is not moving and won't be moving for a while. And he looks up from the front, the prow, and then looks back to the stern, and then looks up and around the ship, like just out into the vastness of the sphere around them, and kind of shrugs his shoulders, kind of brings him closer to himself a little bit. I don't like sitting out here. You're right.
Z,
Yes.
does Button have any guess of how long it's gonna be? I know I, as a player, know.
You can go down. You know that just by the blast that you got that sent you off of the helm,
That shit hurt.
Button knows that there was quite a bit of damage done.
Yeah.
Since you immediately took off running, you wouldn't know exactly how much. You can go down and try to poke around and figure it out. You are a little familiar with Spelljammer helms, however, Spelljamming helms are not straight up. Spelljamming helms are created by wizards and artificers. Generally artificers more so than anything.
Yep.
So it's not your magical area of expertise.
Okay. But Button will Button will. I imagine they were still crouched down. As they pop up. And like put a hand up like a full salute, kind of bending the brim of their hat a little bit. It's like, I will investigate and see how long it will take to repair.
Maybe Micken can give you a hand?
Maybe Micken can give me a hand.
Micken, who is at this point finished figuring out what the fuck this trident is just kind of still sitting on his crate, just kind of holding it, looking, watching everybody, and as he hears his name, he kind of like looks really sharply at Trixie, and then at Button, and then kind of, yeah, I can try.
I mean, this is your area of expertise.
Yeah, that might be being generous, but I'll try.
We will work together. And with that, Button is going to step forward slowly. They're going to step forward, stop, glance at the group, glance at Booker, and they're going to just slowly, step, hug the wall, and go down the stairs. It's very obvious that they are taking. Button has no subtlety.
That's perfectly fine with Booker. He watches, like, he'll eye Button the entire time Button is scooting out and around the corner. And then once Button is in the stairwell and out of view, his eyes dart up to Micken, and then to Trixie, and then back to Micken, and then he just looks out, like, just out into the wild space.
And Mickey kind of like stood up, started to like take a step after Button, and then sees Button like pause and start inching down the stairway, and he's like, "Oh, should I? And he kind of takes like a half step towards the stairs and looks at the trident, and then looks at Booker. Booker, I figured what this is. Do you want it? It's like holds out trident.
We'll take that. Trixie says, just popping off his lap, putting an arm around him.
Oh, okay. Okay. And he won't hug the stair quite as much, but he will get just a slightly wider berth to Booker as he gets into the stairwell and goes down.
Trixie actually, like, when she put her arm around him and grabbed the trident, she essentially was trying to be between Booker and Micken, trying to give space for so Micken's not in direct line of fire here.
I think, to be fair, it's kind of hard to deal with, or like to see what flavor of anxiety Micken is portraying, but he was less scared of Booker, more of like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do in this situation, but you picked this up, do you want it? Maybe that's the correct answer for this situation. Social anxiety, not fear anxiety.
Booker is silent the whole time. Trixie, like, he would have answered Micken, but Trixie spoke up and took control of the situation, and he's like, all right, Trixie's taking care of it. And he just goes back to staring out into literal space.
So if we're going down to the Spelljammer helm, I'm assuming Button's Arcana is not great.
It is not.
So would you like to help Micken?
I would like to help Micken.
Well, it's a 21. Okay. So, between the two of you, you both kind of look at the spell jamming helm and start to inspect it, and you can see that it has been essentially fried from the inside out with energy. Um, however, it is not completely broken. It is not completely destroyed. It seems like it's already trying to kind of piece itself back together, and the two of you also have mending and start to try and mend a couple of things here and there to start to fix it and help it. And it does become clear that it's going to be a matter of hours and not days or weeks, like it potentially could be, for this spelljamming helm to be usable again. But it is hours. Much longer than anybody on the ship would necessarily be happy about just floating there directionless and unable to move.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I mean, while they're casting mending, Button will, like, I don't know, a crack on, like, the armrest of the chair, mending. Once that closes up slightly, Button's gonna have an idea, and they are going to take the hand, cast mending on themselves. Real quick.
Mickey just kind of blinks. It watches that. You know, like imagine like a crack on the eyeball just kind of like heals itself up and disappears. And he's like,
Yep.
I forgot that you could do that.
Yes. I am.
Does it hurt?
I do not feel pain.
It's just more, I don't know, inconvenience then?
It is my mechanisms failing and not working properly and are slower.
You can see the gears in his head trying to click to find some comparison that makes sense for him. Well, I guess
Imagine you have a cut on your hand. However, you do not feel it, but you can see it. You cannot use your hand properly because it is injured.
He kind of looks down at his hands. Oh, I wonder if it's like when your hand or foot or something falls asleep really bad.
Button tilts their head. Limbs can sleep?
Not like that sleep. It's another kind of phrase that we use. And you have sparked Micken into trying to explain what limbs falling asleep means, how it happens, and what it feels like.
A new lesson for Button. Can continue mending the chair. But, roll plus. Roll a hit die. They're gonna roll a hit die real quick. Where the fuck is it? It didn't. Whatever.
There you go.
10. Because that's an actual fucking mechanic for auto gnomes. I can cast mending on myself.
That's so cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah. If mending is cast on you, you can spend and roll a hit die and regain HP equal to the roll plus con. And it also allows Button to be affected by healing spells, like normal. So there is an actual mechanic to Button using mending on themselves.
So essentially, it would allow you to get the benefits of a short rest faster if you just continually, because mending's a cantrip.
Mm-hmm.
Just continually use mending on yourself in between things that you're doing.
Yep.
Rather than having to wait for a short rest to
Mm-hmm.
spend hit die.
Yeah, just a little short rest in a minute. Top them off, you know? I guess. Button's going to commit themselves to fixing this chair as soon as possible. Because I feel like this is like 101 things to not do in space.
You,
Be a
you
sitting duck.
definitely don't want to be a sitting duck. You should always try to have some sort of maneuverability because you never know what's going to come your direction.
Is there any way to like use? No, there's no. Sorry, this is space. It's not actual wind. I must remember that.
Yeah, there are such things as like astral winds and stuff when you get close to a sun, but you have to be close to a sun.
Yeah, fuck that. That's fucking dangerous.
Mm-hmm. Not only because it's a sun, but because what lives in suns in this universe?
Yeah, fuck that shit.
Let's fucking go.
No. We're not flying into the sun. But also, hello, Piper.
Hi, Piper.
Hello.
What?
Is the Booker and the Trixie wanting to have an interaction?
We have some comments, but Booker needs space right now.
Yeah, Booker's in a mood. He is going to continue staring out longingly into, or not longingly, but like, what's the word? Emoly into the stars.
Edgelord.
Edgelord.
Edgily.
Edgelord.
Well, Liliana's gonna fuck him then.
Oh no.
So you were not privy to this. So it's
Yeah,
only
I was
fair.
Warren, Piper.
Please tell me.
Yes, you were not privy to this, but Liliana up to this point would have seen anytime anybody, literally anyone, got even remotely close to Booker, he flinched or gasped or like reacted otherwise surprised and would get away from them. Like he wants a minimum of 5 feet between him and damn near anybody else. And he is very visibly agitated and easily startled, and he's been very, very curt with people in terms of his word usage.
Yep.
So he's visibly like.
Oh,
Not
he's
frightened,
super
He's
super
fucked
on
up.
edge. He is super on edge, very much in broadcasting signals of like, don't fucking touch me, just leave me alone, like a
This is
really
not normal,
pissed
right?
off cat. Oh, this is, yeah, you've never seen him like this.
Okay. So, Liliana, being the concerned friend, she is going to slowly walk up to him, and she is going to use her pleasing aroma feature.
Oh,
As a plant person, she can exude one of 3 aromas, basically. And she's going to use the calming aroma, which has the effect of the calm emotion spell.
I'll say that Booker, because he's not really like anticipating any sort of spell or anything, he'll willingly fail it. And Lily, you can see him because you walk up to him for one, which already kind of, even though he is in this very, very standoffish, like edgy, pissed off mood, or a high strung, pissed off mood, he is still caught off guard by the fact that you're on your feet in front of him, which is something he typically only sees when push comes to shove and you need to get the fuck away from him, a la combat mode. And so when the pheromones hit, you can see like he was leaning up against the wall in the like too cool for school high school guy kind of way, where he's like got his arms crossed and his shoulders hunched real tight. There's a lot of tension in his posture, and then when he inhales like the perfume, he starts to like immediately loosen up. You can see his shoulders drop a little bit. He doesn't like his arms are still crossed, but you can see the really tight, furrowed brow loosen a little bit, and he just lets out a little, like, just a tiny sigh, like a sigh of relief, like he stopped clenching his muscles.
I know it's annoying, Piper, but can you put yourself in push to talk for right now? Because the fan is overpowering Joe's voice when he's talking.
Is that better?
Yes, thank you.
Yes, thank you. But he doesn't. He almost looks like kind of at a loss for words. He just kind of stares at Liliana. Hi.
She doesn't really say much. She just gives a soft smile and just walks next to him and looks out the space with him. You want to talk about it?
He actually gives this a genuine bit of thought for a second. Kind of, you see his eyes dart down around his feet, and then look back up to wild space, and then dart back down towards his feet. His eyebrow like twitches in this sort of like, and he weighs his options. And after the pause, he just shakes his head very, very slightly, and he'll, without making eye contact with Liliana again, he just says, "No, I don't want to talk about it."
Okay, you do not have to. And she's just gonna get just as close as he can without like physically touching and just stare outside of space with them.
He doesn't have any sort of aura or like area effect in any sort of magic sense, like active on him, but there is like just sitting there, or standing rather, next to him in the silence and looking out into wild space. You do get the sense that he is more comforted by this. Like he does not have the words to communicate his feelings at all, but just sitting in the silence with him is that's fucking doing numbers right there.
She will remain there until you are ready to leave.
I will say.
And this happens every fucking. Sorry, I have to say this before I forget. But every time I've played a version of Booker, I'm always caught off guard, because when I think I have made him unapproachable in every way, someone does something that I'm like, no, yeah, that works. It gets this one. This version of Booker that works on him. I don't know how you found it. I thought nobody would talk to him at all, but you found the thing that would make him feel better, and you did it. Baffling.
Congratulations, Liliana. You have solved the puzzle.
Can't hear it, but I am golf clapping.
So I'll say that the time it takes to kind of try and mend the helm as much as possible, everybody, unfortunately, except Micken and Button, can take a short rest, essentially. It takes a good 30-45 minutes of work on their part to try and solve some things and try to get it fixed up so it can theoretically fix itself faster. During that time period, nothing particularly interesting seems to happen on the ship. However, I do need from those of you still on deck perception checks.
What I would like to ask is, could Button have fix themselves up 1 or 2 more times during that time frame.
Yes.
Oop.
I really like to imagine that Button walks around the base of the spell jamming seat, hits it with a little bend, and then looks on themselves, finds a little scratch, hits it with the bend. So it's like 1 for you, 1 for me, 1 for you, 1 for me.
I feel they're prioritizing the helm, right? I think it's like 3 for you, 1 for me. 3 for you, 1 for me.
Is Trixie not on the deck anymore?
Oh, she is. I'm trying to add using my fingers because my brain's not working. 23.
23. Damn. Okay.
Whoa, what the fuck just happened?
I'm curious as to what their perceptions roll like.
Hold on. I think I fucked up my health because I'm all of a sudden at max.
Oh,
19,
Crux. You blind old bat.
Ugh. I know
29,
that feel. I know
18,
that feel, Crucky.
7 plus 9 plus 46. Okay. You know, I'm not. Jesus.
18.
So if Trixie or Liliana would like to spend a couple of hit die too, you guys can.
Okay.
Oh, we gotta get rid of this.
How bad is everybody?
I'm better now. But I was at 26 before all that short rest healing,
Mm-hmm.
and after that puts me at a clean 56.
Yeah, and Piper, last session we ended with heals. Did you put Lily's healing?
I do not think I did.
Okay, well it's in chat. Lily got 23 HP from Button.
Okay.
Yeah. That gives me-
Just realized Button killed everyone except himself.
As you all are kind of trying to wind down and fix the ship and kind of compose yourselves after the fight, Liliana and Trixie and Starbow.
Oh no.
You all see in the distance, at first, what you just think are some floating rock or debris. But as you continue to watch and glance in that direction occasionally, you see more and more, and you see that they're moving. And you suddenly realize that there is a pod of Kindori that are starting to fly kind of parallel to the path that the Lady Luck was on. And well, actually, I'll say, are you telling everybody, or are you just kind of watching them?
Are they usually threats?
Well, Liliana and Trixie, you guys can choose to roll a history, a survival, or a nature.
Didn't you see the Kindori once with Nevalier?
Let's see.
Was that Kindori?
Yeah, I didn't think they were.
I don't
I
think
know
it
we
was
saw
Kindori.
like space whales.
Kindori are space whales, aren't they?
I know we saw some majestic creature. I think it was the eels, actually.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure
Oh,
it was
yeah, I
lightning
think you're
eels.
right. Yeah, you're right.
Because, dude, I would have remembered space whale.
Another big majestic creature that isn't overtly dangerous, just kind of get out of its way and it should be fine? Question mark?
That is 12 for survival.
Okay. So, survival from Trixie, nature from Liliana. Okay. So, Lily, you have begrudgingly learned about creatures in your travels. You're not particularly interested, much more interested in plants. But you've had to learn a thing or two about commonly encountered creatures. And the Kendori are one of them. They are, again, kind of referred to, at least by people from Toril in realm space, as space whales. However, they are both very similar and also very, very different from an actual whale. They travel in pods and they grow so large that people have often put small settlements on the back of the oldest Kendoris. They are creatures that have no mouth, have no way to bite or swallow anything. They, much like plants, absorb solar energy and light energy as their primary nutrition. And are so gentle, generally, as long as you stay directly out of their path, that plants and vines and moss grow on them. Trixie, you also are aware that Kendori can sometimes hold sailors in settlements on their backs, and some people even use the skeletons of massive Kendori and turn them into ships properly, as it is one of the few things that is known in the universe to not fully decay. Once the flesh and blood is gone from the Kendori, nothing can erode a Kendori skeleton. And you also know that they communicate via light, as every single one of their eyes will illuminate and shine different colors and patterns of light, and that is how they communicate with each other and with other people and things around them.
Could Trixie get the telescope?
Yeah. The looking glass.
Yeah. Let me try and see, like, knowing that they use their eyes to communicate. I don't know if she would have any knowledge on, like, any signals or anything, but maybe try and get a vibe check on, like, if they notice them or how they're trying to communicate. Try and get a vibe check on them, essentially.
Mm-hmm. You can roll me an animal handling at advantage.
Okay. It's a 3. That's a 2. So, 7?
So as you're kind of peering through this looking glass out at this pod that's growing larger and larger. Again, they're not heading towards you directly, but they're on this parallel path, so they're growing in size and in visible numbers as they are approaching closer to the ship. And you can see that there's just this very steady little flicker of their eyes back and forth. And as you're watching, you can see there doesn't seem to be any structures on most of them that you can see. You can't see the backs of all of them. And you see a handful of calves swimming in and out and around their much, much larger family. You can very quickly surmise that this is a family pod of some sort.
Would Trixie know if maybe we could, like, I know this will sound kind of stupid, but like if we tied a rope around them, kind of thing, if we could maybe kind of like hitch a ride for a bit, if that's possible, or would that make it aggressive?
Since she knows that Kendori do have settlements that get tied to their backs, it is possible. It is figuring out how to do that is the question.
Yeah. Hey, so I think we might have a way to move around a bit. It's not surefire or anything, but I figured you might be interested. She kind of steps over to Booker's and, like, giving him space, but, like, he's the captain, so it's kind of deferring to him. There's some Kindori over there, and I think maybe if we're, smart enough, we could hitch a ride. At least for a bit.
Booker, after having basically sat in enigmatic silence for a few minutes, and effectively caught his breath, when you talk to him, he doesn't flinch. He is a little surprised, but it's not nearly as intense a reaction as you had seen from him earlier. And he looks up towards you, and then looks over to the Kindori where you point, and will blink for a second. Yeah, that makes sense. Is the helm fixed, or are we still stuck?
Let's see. Haven't used this in a while. Could I get a telepathy link with Button? Try and get a phone call.
Oh shit, I forgot about that.
Yeah, so did I.
It's been a while. I think the last time this happened was on the Tyrant ship.
Hey, status update?
Alright, Z. How bad is it?
I told you how many hours last time.
Well, yeah, it's 11?
So now it is 10.
So now it is. Let me look and see. Leaving.
Because you've had like an hour of short rest.
Bad. 11. Yep, it is 11. Okay. Fucking checking in for status report. And goes, oh. Hello. It will be 9 hours and 56 seconds. 55 seconds. 54 seconds. Oh, 54 minutes. Shit. I fucked up the minutes. I got distracted because someone blooped at me on Discord. Who the fuck did that? Oh, it was my husband thanking me. Okay, it can slide this time. The key is for you.
I'll let Booker know.
Just countdown. Initiated.
We're gonna be stuck here for half a day.
Booker just kind of misses. Oh shit. And I look over towards the Kindori. Just eyeballing it. Is there any way that Booker can see that they could hitch a ride? Like, are they in the path?
No, you guys are parallel to them, so you'd have to just figure out how to get them close enough, number one, and then figure out how to lasso them or something to attach the ship to them or get them dragging behind with the ship that is also not going to piss them off. Because they are naturally very gentle creatures. Well, actually, I shouldn't say this. Now that your attention has been drawn to the Kindori, you get the same options. Except you get an added animal handling, what was it? Nature, survival, or history.
I'll do a nature. I'll throw a nature at it.
And a telescope to, or a hand spyglass to Captain.
It's just,
I'll give you an advantage. Roll one more time on that.
hey.
Oof.
You know that these are gentle creatures, generally. But just by looking at them, you can imagine the damage they can do if you piss them off. It's much like a, standard sighting of like a whale out on the sea. Like, they're curious, they come up, it's really cool interaction, but then if they decide that they're pissed off at you and want to like topple your boat, they're going to topple your boat.
Booker pulls the spyglass down, collapses it together, or pulls the spyglass off his eye and collapses it down, and then just furrows his brow and thinks, how much rope do we have? About 50 feet on me, 50 feet on the ship.
You have a lot, because you had to tie a tow line to the nautiloid.
We got
Awesome.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Doot-a-doot-doot.
Loud as fuck.
So, knowing that, Booker starts to do the math really quick. Realizes that we probably have enough to get a decent enough lasso a little bit away from the ship, since we had the nautiloid wrapped up and towed behind us. It's just a matter of getting the Kindori to move closer to us. He looks at Trixie, and you can see Booker eyeing your wings. That is a method of propulsion in the wild, or that is a method of propulsion in wild space.
Yes.
So, in theory, Trixie could fly out there.
In theory, Trixie could tow the ship.
But
Sorry.
Booker like looks, and you can see him like really trying to puzzle this one out. Does he know, like, Kindori don't have mouths? He has all that information that basically Trixie got, or at least some of it.
Yeah,
Trixie would have shared what she knows. Yeah.
Yeah. If Trixie shared, then he would know.
Her thoughts is like maybe if we could communicate with them, since they communicate through lights, like get an SOS essentially, or hey, shiny over here, kind of thing, to get them closer. Maybe like land the ship on one of their backs or something like that. Would
When we
be
got
the
rope,
thought.
we could tie ourselves and get ourselves towed by these Kindori. It's a matter of getting them closer to us. So, do we have a way to make a light that's repeatable? Oh, he snaps his fingers and is like, "What's Wizard Boy got? Do you have a light spell?"
He does indeed. He has 2 light spells, technically.
He's below deck, right?
Yes, he is down at the helm with Button.
They are busy repairman.
You're asking Yeah, I'll be the intercom system.
I was gonna say you see Booker, like he thinks for a second. He's like, we need the wizard boy, and then he like puts his thumb and forefinger together and puts them in a mouth, and you can see that he's about to do that really loud, like shrill, ear splitting whistle. And
I got this. I got
he like,
this. Hand wave.
all right, puts his hand back
It,
down.
Trixie her antennae kind of do a little dance in trying to connect, and she kind of rolls her eyes back a little bit as if she's like focusing kind of thing, or like looking above her, and connects to Mickey. Hey, do you happen to know any light spells?
You immediately get hit by this, like, you don't know how somebody can be anxious and driven by paranoia in their brain, in telepathy,
Me?
but you get that. And
You can feel the flinch.
yeah, you can feel the flinch and the instinctive turtle motion. And Button, you can see the motion as he physically does that. It's just, yeah, I know a few. Why?
What do you know about Kandori?
And he pauses. And he will say this out loud as well as through the telepathic link. Are there Kendori out there?
Yeah,
Button's head snaps
we're thinking of trying to hitch a ride.
And you don't get any more telepathy because the nerds are coming upstairs.
They're coming up. Both of them fucking run.
They'll be here soon.
Just hear the footsteps. One really fast and clunky, the other
Surprisingly light.
surprisingly light.
Just speed run up the stairs and then screech to a halt on the deck and looking around until they spot the Kendori.
Button fucking crashes into Micken a little bit. Just runs right into his legs.
Ow. There's another side to the stairs. You don't have to go directly behind me.
I need to take the most direct path. Unfortunately, it was occupied. Where?
Micken spots the Kendori and, like, turns Button's head.
There. Oh shit. Zoom to the edge of the map. Of the I forgot what they're called. Railing deck. Yes, thank you. Zoom. Must look.
And Micken just kind of, like, is standing kind of in the middle of the deck, just kind of, like, head tilted. It's like half smile on his face. I'm assuming there is a reason why you guys were asking about light spells and mentioning Kendori.
Said we were thinking of hitching a ride. Trying to communicate with them, you know?
Well, I mean, huh. See the fucking hamster wheel going. And he
Better than being sitting ducks.
nods, and you see him kind of lift a hand, palm upward, and you can see magic starting to spark in his fingers, and he pauses and kind of looks over his shoulder at Booker for, like, the okay. Joel.
Oh, hello. Sorry. I was saying goodnight to Claire. Repeat your thing.
Just Micken Mikan was told what was happening, and he starts.
Mhm.
You can see him start to cast a spell, but he just kind of like pauses and looks towards Booker.
Hey, Booker just blinks and raises an eyebrow. What are you looking at me for?
I mean, technically, you're the captain, even if you don't have the hat.
Go on then. Do your signal. You have captain's permissions or whatever.
I forgot to get that.
He just nods and starts to cast dancing lights. And you see several orbs of light just kind of start to lift from each of his fingers and first kind of swirl around him and then start to kind of form this pattern swirling around the deck. And there's, at first, seemingly no reaction from the Kindori. And then you see, kind of halfway through the pod, one of the calves immediately take this like really sharp turn and break off from the pod, start heading in the direction of the Lady Luck, and then a moment or two later, one of the larger Kindori, and then you see the pod slowly starting to trail behind this calf, like chasing down the running toddler as it leads the charge towards the Lady Luck. And Mikan pushes the dancing lights further out so that they're a good couple yards from the ship and just kind of forms this swirling circle between the Lady Luck and the pod. And as the calf gets closer, it actually starts to shift and turn, and it flips sideways and actually goes through the circle and then into the actual air pocket of the Lady Luck, and you can feel this kind of rush of almost metallic-y smell as it brings the air pocket that it has with it into the Lady Luck's, and you can see all of its eyes on one side glowing with this pure white light scanning over everybody, and almost, you'd imagine if it was darker, almost like spotlights sweeping across the deck and looking at each and every one of you as it swims by. And it goes just far enough, and it seems to be just clumsy enough, to be frank, that one of its tail, as it moves, kind of brushes one of the still outstretched wings of the Lady Luck, and the ship kind of turns just a little bit with even that little tap from this calf, but it doesn't disturb it otherwise, and it shifts and turns and flies underneath, and suddenly all of you are surrounded by this pod of Kindori, and the calf, which seems to be one of the smaller, more babies of this pod, is slightly larger than the Lady Luck. There are at least one or two in this pod that are so massive that you can imagine an entire fleet of Ladybug ships could fit on it.
Maybe we should start bringing the wings in a bit.
We should start
So,
what?
like,
Bringing the wings in a bit.
oh yeah, like bring the Lady Luck's wings down so that they can get closer.
Yeah, and they don't accidentally get hit.
Good point. Rope. We need the rope. Booker's gonna run and grab the rope. Then he'll start to run and grab the rope, and then he'll turn around and then give Mikan like a really heavy and friendly pat on the shoulder, like one good firm pat. He's just like, great work. And then keep doing that, and then turn around and run to go get the rope.
Micken just kind of nods. He stays middle of the deck and seems to be trying to figure out some way of like shifting and moving the dancing lights so that he's kind of, you can tell, studying the movement patterns of these Kindori versus his lights, essentially. As you all start to scramble to pull the wings and the shell of the Lady Luck in a little bit closer. And the shell essentially is going to cover the topmost deck when it is closed. And
Okay.
doesn't take too much effort. You can feel that there's a little bit more weight, a little bit more strain that you have to put into maneuvering this ship without having somebody on the helm to kind of help the ship move how you need it to. But you all are experienced enough. Two of you have been on this ship for a very long time. Two of you have been taught how to do this, and Crux and Flinch are also quick to help and are very experienced and very deft with this. So it doesn't take too much effort to bring the shell and the wings in fully so that the ship is kind of closed off in its most compact version that it can be.
Perfect. Then
So hard
while
to not take notes. It's so hard.
while the wings are brought in close and the Kindori are like right around the ship area, are we still able to like throw a lasso around them? Wait. Booker will tie one end of the rope to like a load-bearing part of the ship that's very sturdy, and then give the other end to Trixie. And he'll gesture to a porthole she can fly out, be like, fly this up and around and back down and cinch it on the other side. Boom. Tow line. Since the entire upper deck is basically like whale.
Micken hears that and like pauses and see him like his head snap around looking at Trixie. You're gonna go fly out there?
I mean, I don't mind doing it, but I can't breathe out there, right? Or does it have its own pocket?
You got your own pocket for a little bit. Hold your breath.
No, come here. You just see Micken kind of like wave one hand in your direction.
Trixie curiously moves towards Micken.
And he kind of looks towards the dancing lights, looks towards Trixie, looks towards the dancing lights again, and seems to just kind of nod to himself really quickly, stops concentrating on the dancing lights, and you see him kind of clap his hands together and blow into them, and then slowly widen his hands further and further apart, and you see this kind of rainbow iridescent bubble forming between his hands. And without warning, once it's what he considers large enough, he just immediately brings his hands up and over Trixie's head and down, like putting on a helmet, and your head pops through the bubble. So
that's useful.
He used his last 3rd level spell to give you air bubble. Actually, last 2nd level, I should say.
This makes things a lot safer. Thank you.
I can only do that so many times, but you are welcome. and immediately turns to re-concentrate on moving these lights. So you
Booker
have...
will slap another firm shoulder, or slap another hand down on the opposite shoulder this time of Mickens, and be like, "What do we do without you?"
He kind of looks towards Booker, and there is this moment of calculation, and glance towards Trixie, glance towards Booker. Well, apparently suffocate, but you know, that's not a problem.
Not with you here. Pat him again, then move on.
So that bubble can last up to 24 hours, so long as nothing goes and pops it.
Trixie's gonna have a bubble for a long time. It's clean air.
Bubble bug.
Bubble bug. Trixie will give a 2 fingers salute to begin again, and thanks. And time to fly.
So, explain to me exactly what you are trying to... I know you are trying to hook the Lady Luck to a Kindori. How?
Mm-hmm. All right. This calls for sketch time. So, we have the Lady Luck. Bug.
Bug time.
This is Lady Luck, and here
Oh my god.
is Kindori. So, what we need, and we'll do yellow for Trixie for the rope. So I imagine there's like maybe little portholes, kind of like a ship.
Mm-hmm.
So Trixie will fly out from one side of the porthole, around the Kindori, down to the other side, and then in through another porthole, and then pull this tight. So we're like strapped to its belly.
Baby carrier.
You're trying to baby carrier the Lady Luck. Okay.
Yeah. And that way, see, this is perfect, because that way, whenever we're done, we just let loose one of the knots on one side, and then we will, like, pop off and fall down. And we can take off. Bada boom.
I'm sorry, I'm just imagining Booker drawing this out. And just like, boom, it's perfect. Baby carrier.
We
Foolproof.
could also go on its back and tie to that like hump area.
Oh, but that
We
way
can't
we don't
move
even
the
have to
ship.
move.
Very
Huh?
Oh fuck, man.
Because we can't move the Lady Luck because the thing is broken.
Mm-hmm.
So-
This'll work. Not how I was expecting you to solve the situation as far as how you're going to tie, but this'll work.
Did you expect this to be reasonable and tie it toward like its tail and have us be towed? like normally, like towed like this? Is that what you expected, Z?
Kind of.
You said the entire upper deck was whale, and I was like,
Well, I said the
Got it.
topmost deck. So there's still the back half of it. So this get you back over to the shippers.
technically baby carrier works though too, because
Baby carrier.
like it's easier to hide.
So
Defend it.
this deck here
Mhm.
is fully covered. This one, there'd still kind of be this like almost T shape going from the stairs down to the backmost mangonel.
Gotcha.
That would be open, It's just this deck here is completely and totally covered. This one is like 75% covered.
So like this area, essentially. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is uncovered.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that honestly, you don't even have to fly out a porthole now. You can just go up and around and tie it to one of the joints on the wings, and then loop it around to the other wing joint.
Yeah.
Bada boom.
Bada bing.
So, if you're going to do that, let me look at this.
Baby carrier.
It's so stupid. I love it. Baby carrier.
It was a very defensible position too.
So, you do this? Do you do how, hold on. Language has left me. English, please. Booker has explained his, plan to Trixie. Does Trixie follow this?
Why wouldn't you?
So I need
I trust our captain.
If you need help, Button does not need to breathe.
I need an acrobatics check and an athletics check.
Oh.
Okay. I'm thinking I'm actually going to trigger my asphalt arms here. Just for the little help with that athletics check.
Okay.
So acrobatics. That's an 8 plus 7. 15.
Okay.
And then that's a 10 plus wisdom. Proficiency. Our proficiency is 2 right now, right? 3.
Mhm.
So that's another 7. So 17.
So you all watch as Trixie flies out from the Lady Luck and just kind of disappears out of view. And Trixie, you kind of fly away and try to kind of look at all these Kindori that are flying around. And Vicken attempts to help, bringing the lights in closer to the ship to try and draw one close enough that you can easily loop it. And he does manage to get one relatively close that seems large enough. And you start to fly around this absolutely gargantuan creature. And as you're flying, you can see just this almost, you would consider like a lush carpet of mosses and vines and grasses that are starting to grow on this Kindori, covering all of its back and down its fins. And as you go across the spine, you are momentarily surprised as a calf kind of comes up the opposite side and brushes by you. And you see that it's almost immediately curious. It's not normally things that fly around Kindori like this. And it moves a little closer than comfortable as it kind of inspects you and then unintentionally kind of taps you with a fin as it continues past. Just enough to kind of send you spinning a little bit. Knock out just a little bit of air, but it's not enough to hurt you or break the air bubble or anything, but just another reminder of like, that's a baby, and it can toss me aside like that. You continue around over the other side of the Kindori and down. And again, that baby has just circled around and is following you. And as you come in the other side of the Lady Luck, all of you inside see Trixie come in with this line, and immediately behind, just a nose of a Kindori at the opening of the Lady Luck. And you hear this kind of high-pitched squeal followed by almost a cat-like purr that shakes the entire ship coming from this baby.
You guys got this, right? Trixie tosses the rope in. She's gonna go play with the fucking with the whale. She's got an air bubble.
The Booker will catch it, like, grab it, and then loop it around something sturdy and start to tie a knot.
Give me a strength check really fast, Booker.
Oh. Wow, that's a really good roll.
Hey.
As you grab the rope and kind of start to like wind it around a pole and try to tie it tight, you can feel the strain of the rope as it is kind of settling on this still moving Kindori. And there's just a little bit of a fumble as you're trying to tie this rope before the rope, or you're trying to tie a knot before the rope can kind of slide out of your hands and you lose grip on it entirely, but you're just able to get it fast enough. And all of you on the ship can feel kind of the Lady Luck kind of lurch forward a little bit as it starts to just kind of get dragged along with this Kindori, who up above, where the calf, when it let out this kind of squeal and purr, you could feel it throughout the ship with this added weight on this massive adult Kindori. There is a deep, bone-vibrating hum that comes from this creature that you can hear everything on the ship kind of rattle a little bit. You can feel it kind of jar your very being. And it goes on for about 20, 25 seconds, and then it fades. And then again you hear this very high-pitched kind of squeal noise from up above. But it doesn't seem to freak out. And you guys are swimming with the Kindori.
Baby carrier, let's go.
Kindori ride, Kindori ride.
Let's fucking
So-
go.
The baby Kindori is the size of the ladybug, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Trixie is going to sit on the baby Kindori's back. Like, kind of near one of its eyes and, like, pet it, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
She's gonna keep it company.
The baby.
She made a friend.
It's the baby.
See, as
She
you
has a 24-hour bubble.
as you kind of settle on this Kindori calf, it seems a little surprised. You kind of spirals at first, like, okay, what is this thing on me? And then you see one of the larger Kindoris kind of respond to the noises that it makes, and you get another very up close and personal, like, entire body could fit in the eyeballs of this thing experience with Mama Kindori as she comes up and takes a very close look at you. and then just continues on her way, not seeming bothered. And when she continues on her way, that's when the baby's like, okay, this thing's not a problem, it's just weird.
That's Trixie.
And settles down a little bit. And
Can Trixie talk to it telepathically? Is it even possible?
it would require a speak with animals spell.
Okay.
Unfortunately, as it is not humanoid, telepathy does not work.
Fair.
The next spell we need to learn.
Just lay on her stomach on the thing, petting it, just like talking to it, telling it stories. She made a friend.
And Micken.
Oh shit! Actually, sorry.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, Button has the plant. You can once per day can cast speak with animals or speak with plants for 4 minutes.
Did I actually say it was either? Or
Yes.
just speak with
Yes.
plants? So, yeah, if you want to go try to annoy Button and say, hey, will you let me use the plant?
Button, can I please borrow it? I made a friend.
Pulls out.
Billy also has speak with plants.
We need to speak with animals, though. We need
Oh,
we need to
speak with
talk
animals.
to whale.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the plant is one of either,
Yes.
not both. So you get
Yeah.
to choose whichever one it is when you use the plant.
It's once per day. It's either one or the other. Once a day for 4 minutes. Button pulls out plant.
Only 4 minutes.
It's only 4 minutes. The Button pulls out the
Technically,
plant.
could use speak with plants to talk to the moss and the vines and shit that grow on them.
Also satisfying.
Mm-hmm. But yes. Button will give to Trixie. But there is
Thank you.
a condition.
Oh.
You must tell me everything that you learn for my notes.
Trust me, I was going to tell you anyway.
Everything.
Everything.
Nod. Give plant.
It's a very serious look of like.
Button's expression does not change. Because it cannot. But they nod. Here, plant. Have fun.
Brain. Use. Fly back to New Buddy. I had not thought of an actual conversation. I just more wanted to make friends with the child whale. I'm happy. Trixie has an interesting story now.
It's about as interesting a conversation as you can assume from what is essentially a toddler.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, some toddlers, you can have some very interesting conversations.
You can pick up one or two things from the adults that pass particularly close to the baby as it's flying around, and it's very much just this erratic ping-ponging off of and around the various full-grown Kindoris in this pod. Occasionally you get closer to the ladybug and the one that the Kindori that the ladybug is attached to. Sometimes you're all the way at the back of the pod, sometimes you're all the way at the front of the pod. It's having a good time flying.
Does the one that's carrying the ladybug, does it seem particularly agitated at all?
It doesn't seem to notice at all.
Okay. Yeah, I don't want to bring it up. I think it's safer not to bring it up.
I imagine it's like something the size of a golf ball attaching to like your arm.
Yeah,
You barely notice it.
you managed to roll in such a way that you did not get the rope somewhere where it was going to annoy it. So it's just chilling. And you can see Micken has started to maneuver the dancing lights further out in front of the ladybug and in front of this Kindori. And he's doing his best to try and direct this Kindori and the pod thus so in a direction generally where you guys are trying to go. Is not fine-tuned navigation on a Kindori. But he's doing his best.
More of a suggestion.
We're going in a similar direction, and we're not sitting ducks. We're in a safe grouping. So, yeah, I think this is the best we can ask for.
Is there anything that you guys are wanting to particularly do other than Trixie hanging out with toddler Kindori while the ladybug is in this closed up, just relying on the Kindori's goodwill?
Repair. As Button would love to just sit here and stare. Must repair.
There's only so much of the spelljamming helm that you could repair yourself.
Stop and stare.
You can continue to cast mending on it, and it's not going to make it repair any faster at this point.
Okay, so it's a waiting game.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
It's kind of waiting for the psychic energy that was unleashed on it to work itself out and deplete, and then for its own magic to replenish enough to be useful.
Okay. Fuck it. I mean, in that case, we got 8 hours? Could Button work on the cloak?
Sure. Get another day's worth of work on that.
A cloak. 12 out of 30 days. 1 day. It will be done.
Can Trixie try and get some of the moss/grass off one of the bigger Kindori without injuring it? It's literally just try and get interesting sample, yeah.
Yeah, you can grab some of that without these things have such thick skin and are so massive that you plucking even all 4 handfuls at the same time, it's just at most stepping on an uncomfy pebble to them.
So I make sure, didn't know if it was part of them skinning someone or something, yeah.
No.
But I figured Button and Lily would be interested in space plants.
Space plant!
Space plant!
I guess technically, I don't know if, what's it? I can't think of his name. Starbow? Yeah. If he'd be interested, they'd be interested. But why not? It's interesting. Get a couple of vials of it.
Yeah. And, okay, now that makes sense. Because there's plants growing on it. There's air replenished. That's why there's settlements, right? Okay.
Is both because there's plants growing on it and because they are so massive themselves, they don't breathe. And because they don't breathe and they're so huge, the natural air pockets that follow them aren't used by the Kindori. Everything has its own air pocket once it leaves, once you leave a planet or a brawl or the ship or something, you will have up to between 1 and 5 minutes worth of air on your person because there's the small amount of gravity that you yourself have. The bigger the object, the more air it has naturally. So if one of you just dropped onto one of the full-grown Kindori, since the Kindori don't breathe their own air pocket, it would be like just dropping onto a massive ship and having that air pocket. But it gets continually refreshed because of the plants that are growing on the Kindori.
So, emergency situation, we're about to run out of air. we can just like pass by Kendori Pod, we'd be set.
Yeah, you'd be able to either just hop onto a Kindori and breathe the air that they are in, or if you want to do some fancy flying, pass through enough of their air pockets to replenish your own.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Cool.
And there is still, for everyone on the ship, that kind of oddly metallic but fresh kind of scent that is hovering in the air because the air pocket between the Kindori and the Lady Luck has been shared for the moment.
Yeah. If only Button can smell. They'd have so many more notes.
Lily Booker, is there something you would like to do this time?
While the Kindori are close, Booker will take down some notes and a few sketches just to get just some general information, since Button has not done it yet. That way Button has notes.
Yes, thank you.
As
It'll make him happy, them happy.
It would.
as you're kind of writing down your notes, you see Micken kind of glancing over his shoulder every now and then towards you, Booker. And then he finally just kind of glances past you at the Kindori and looks back. Do you want to go out there?
Booker looks up, looks back to his notes, and then looks up and kind of realizes Micken was talking to him and says, well, and I'll roll. He kind of chews on his tongue for a second, and then he in this very much like, I don't want to seem not cool, but I still want to, I kind of want to do it. He just kind of shrugs and nods in one motion that is kind of this, he does want to go outside and do it, but he doesn't want to admit it out loud.
And Micken will just kind of nod and step back a little bit towards Booker, and you see him start to go through the same process that he did with Lily, where he is kind of clasps his hands together and starts to create this bubble. And then he kind of spreads his hands out a little bit further and looks towards Liliana. And you see the bubble kind of split, and there is 2 iridescent bubbles. One that he just pops over Booker's head, and then one that he pops over Lily, which then he realizes is a little too big. As it goes not just over Lily's head, but like down to her waist. And he kind of like pauses, is like, well, I guess that works still.
I
And
accept it regardless.
what'd you say?
I said I accept it regardless.
He just kind of nods. Well, I could make multiple of these things with this amount of magic, but I can't help you get any further than this. I don't know, you guys can climb or ask Trixie or something, but he just starts stumbling over himself as he starts to refocus on the lights again.
So Booker doesn't have a way to naturally propel himself, so he will just hold on to the rope.
Yeah, you can climb the rope up to the top of the one that the Lady Luck is attached to.
Hell yeah. And Booker will walk all the way out, kind of holding onto the rope, but so with the way that the gravity shifts, is the ship still more dominant or the Kindori?
The Kindori would be. So essentially, the
Okay.
moment that you kind of leave the like little sphere of gravity that follows the ship, you kind of be flipped to the Kindori's gravity.
It is like a moment of like vertigo and just whoa as he shifts and then scurries in this weird perpendicular way up the rope. And then once he gets to the quote unquote top of the Kindori where he is on its back, he will hold the what is basically tie like the what is the strap of rope that ties the two together, and hold it as like almost like reins, and we'll just stand up there and look around and take in the wild space around him and just enjoy the scenery, because from this view there is no ship. It is just empty wild space and creature, but there is a grounding element to it.
Mm-hmm. And you don't have to, once you are on top of the Kindori, the gravity plane would be pulling you down onto the Kindori, so unless it decided that it just wanted to all of a sudden go really fast, which, judging by the interactions with these things thus far, they don't go really fast.
Hmm.
At least not without reason. So unless it decides to go really fast, it's not like shaking you off or you're not getting any drag or anything. So like you could just walk along the back of it and not have any issues. Other than maybe just a little bit of seasickness from like the undulation.
That yeah, he'll it takes him a minute to feel comfortable enough to let go despite the gravity like actually pinning him to the whale. But he will slowly but surely like let his grip loosen his grip until the rope just falls back down, and he will just stand on the top of the whale and walk up to right about the bridge of its nose, or the prow of the whale. And he'll stand there and just take in the sights. And this is one of the few times he has been quote unquote alone with the wild sea since his most like memorable incident. So he's having a mixed feeling of like reverence and admiration and a little bit of a fearful respect, in the same way that you can stare out at the ocean and admire being on admire the view while being on a ship, but have a deep sense of like fear that like, man, I really don't want to go off the ship. But right here I'm safe and it's okay.
As you kind of settle yourself up at the kind of nose of this Kindori, you get another kind of one of those deep, bone rattling kind of vibration purrs out of the Kindori. It doesn't, again, seem to react negatively in any way. You can kind of see at least one of the eyes has kind of tried to move to look at you, almost like trying to go cross-eyed. Like little beam of light moving in your direction, but then it refocuses on the lights that Micken is pushing out in front of its face. And just continues on its way. Are you also going Kindori riding, Liliana?
Yeah.
Kindori!
there is kind of this slightly unnerving sensation that happens at least once of baby calf flying upside down with Trixie attached to its head over the top
Waiting.
of the giant one that Booker is on. And then disappears underneath it again.
Booker is a little jealous of having wings, but will stifle that jealousy and return instead back to the mesmerizing awe of wild space.
So it takes a good few hours kind of drifting through the swirling colors and changing, shifting views of wild space with this Kindori pod before you will start to see in the distance what looks like a line of asteroids, of just rocks, massive giant stones floating in space in front of you. And as one by one you notice, and all of you kind of start to talk to each other and mention it, and Crux catches wind. He kind of pauses and will call for the looking glass from Booker. And once he retrieves it and sees and kind of like cracks open the looking glass and looks out at these asteroids, he just nods to himself. That would be the tail end of the cluster that Topla's tower is on. She should be on the far end of it.
So we're close then.
And he nods. Close enough. Don't know exactly if or how we're going to get this entire pod of Kindori to maneuver us through an entire asteroid belt, but close enough that with any luck we might be able to maneuver ourselves soon enough.
Well, if nothing else, they navigate through this sort of thing in nature. I assume they have some kind of plan. And if they don't, how close are we to having the Petalum up and running again?
Be about 2-ish hours. Hour and a half, 2-ish hours.
2-ish
If they don't,
hours.
then we could stand it, or we'd probably be fine being dead in the water for a little bit under 2 hours. If need be. Right?
Mick just kind of like see him tilting his head one way and the other. I mean, it's... I don't want to be, but theoretically you could just try to land the ladybug on one of the larger asteroids and hope nobody looks too close.
He's suggesting landed on one of the asteroids after we get the helm working, right?
No, like parking, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
Because the helm, I feel like by the time we get the helm working, the whales would be far away from here.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Oh boy.
They're gonna we're about our exit's coming up. And I think Micken is suggesting unhitch from the towing and hope that we coast on the shoulder next to our exit.
Oh boy.
Is that right, Z?
More or less, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
All I'm imagining is freaking, was it Little Miss Sunshine? Is that the movie? Where they all have to run to get the van moving.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no.
Because the thing that all of you would know, because you have to think, okay, now you're dealing with asteroids in an asteroid field. If you're just hanging out in between asteroids without being on something, it may not be too bad. But you also can just start getting pelted with asteroids. If you're on an asteroid, you can still get pelted by stuff, but it's not from every direction. So if you guys need to do something to mitigate the damage, you can try to mitigate the damage because you're only looking up and not everywhere.
Hmm.
We could technically just stick with the whales, though, too. It is 2 hours, but it's more confirmed safety.
And then
You can
just
also
And
do
fly
that
back.
too.
Yeah, because, like, without them, we would have been 11 hours back, you know? So,
Mhm.
True enough.
it's not like we don't have air.
Hmm.
I assume Trixie isn't on this conversation, by the way.
I imagine everybody kind of gets summoned back to the ladybug as new thing has popped up.
On the horizon. It's an unspoken rule. As soon as we spot anything, we regroup.
That's not a bad protocol, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As soon as someone spots anything.
Ooh.
Oh man.
I'm waffling. I'm down for whatever crazy shit. If y'all want to try some crazy shit, if we want to try to land onto a goddamn asteroid via whale,
I don't know how that would go. And also, the thing about that is that we can't move the ship for another 2 hours.
We could
fine.
also
we can't move.
we could also try and get Nicken to get the pack to circle a little bit or go slower. What's a thought?
Not a
Or,
bad
like,
plan.
you know what I mean, zigzag? I don't know.
Mhm.
You can try. However, to be fully honest with you guys, I'm not going to give you all the meta information, but
Mhm.
Micken does have to roll for how well he is interacting with this pod, and it's not one of his strong stats.
Ah, okay, so don't risk it. Got it. Don't
So,
push
like,
it.
just he won't have to roll again if you just want to keep the pod moving, like, kind of straight line-ish. But if you're wanting special shit, a lot harder, because then he has to start doing more rolls.
Mm.
Hmm.
Honestly, I say we just stay in the baby carrier. And
Yeah,
then
I'm
just
down.
turn back after 2 hours.
Yeah.
I feel like that's the way to, like, not get crushed
Yeah,
by
let's fucking
asteroid.
let's stay on the baby carrier and ride out the whale ride a little bit longer.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you guys continue with the Kindori pack for a little bit further out, away from this asteroid belt, and you see it kind of come close and then pass by and fade into the distance behind you. And eventually, there is that familiar kind of spark and hum of magic that starts to course through the Lady Luck that Micken and Button can both immediately feel. Of, okay, this thing's starting to... Its engine is starting to kick on again.
I imagine it's the same as, like, you know, you have a power outage, and then all of a sudden you hear your refrigerator kick on.
Yep.
Hmm.
That same sensation of, like, that little minute sign that the electricity is starting to work again. And you're like, oh, thank God.
Oh,
Can I make a request?
Sure.
Maybe, since it's been so long. Could we have gotten a long rest?
Unfortunately, everybody but Micken.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
Well,
this poor boy.
doing God's work, Micken.
Yep.
Yeah.
This poor man.
He can hear his break after we leave the pod. He can have a nap.
Yeah.
Yeah, Micken still no longer a short rest.
Aw. Is there any way one of us could take over? Fuck.
Unless you have a light spell, a light cantrip that you can use.
I've got Druidcraft.
No, not quite.
Damn.
Not quite what you're needing.
I mean, we could make makeshift stuff. We wouldn't have much control over it.
Actually, technically, I've got gaseous form. Not gaseous form.
Hey!
That would have been useful probably earlier, but I didn't know how to, interject about it. But technically, sorry, I didn't mean gaseous form. Technically, I have, where the fuck is it? Flaming sphere, light ball.
Technically, it would work. I don't know how much control you'd have over the Kindori with a single flaming sphere.
Unfortunately, it also only lasts a minute.
We have torches.
Oh God!
We do have torches. Yo, can we give Trixie like 2 torches and like airplane?
But they would burn up all the oxygen in her bubble.
Yeah, I don't think they would work. She'd either have to risk breaking her own bubble or they're outside of oxygen.
Damn.
So, in order to get far enough ahead of the Kindori, it would be outside of an oxygen bubble.
F's in chat.
The one time dancing lights is actually like critical.
I know.
But
oh, man.
Yeah, everybody else gets a long rest in.
Hell yeah.
Micken can have a long rest once we leave the Kindori. It just won't happen for a while.
Yeah, because considering the fact that he is less than half hit points still, and pretty much all of his spells gone.
Oh.
He's a tired man. But the ladybug kind of comes back to life. And you see Micken's like shoulders just kind of slump a little bit in relief. It's like, oh, thank God it actually came back.
Pat, pat, pat.
I was a little, just tiny bit concerned that it was not going to come back at some point. And this is not a permanent solution.
No. But it did come back.
I guess regroup again and cut the rope.
Let's go.
Don't need to cut it. That's a waste.
Just untie it. Booker's got sailor knot powers, right?
Yeah, Booker would have sailor knot powers.
Hell yeah.
Untie the rope. Untie the rope.
So
Whoosh.
untie the rope, and it slowly kind of releases and drags along the Kindori. And you can feel the ladybug kind of slow and stop while this Kindori continues on above it. And kind of look up through the space and see the belly of this Kindori pass by and the tail. And there's just this like little, again, unintentional, but a little tap of the tail on the top of the ladybug's armor as it continues to fly past. And you feel the entire ladybug just kind of jerk down and then settle in. All the other Kindori that are behind this one twist and turn and spin out of the way to not touch it as much as possible. There's another one or two times where the side or the leg or the underside of the Lady Luck gets hit and just tapped a little bit by a fin or a flipper. And you feel the ladybug kind of getting jerked around just a little bit. But then it stops, and you look around and you see all of the Kindori have continued on their way, swimming past, and are leaving the Lady Luck behind.
So long, Lady Luck.
Hop into that fucking spelljamming helm. Let's get the fuck out of here.
Or whales. So long, whales.
And you hop into the helm. It is mostly repaired. You can feel almost like something running off a battery, and the battery's a little low. It seems to have just a little bit longer of a time trying to get moving, trying to respond initially. But it does respond. And it does kind of jump to your touch, and you're able to start piloting the Lady Luck back towards the asteroid belt, looping around the far side to try and get to the furthest edge of this line of asteroids. And you can see at the very end, before you see the very last asteroid, you see the multiple rainbow colors of wild space starting to fade. And the bright, vibrant greens and yellows and blues and reds that has made up realm space, that has been everything that Button and Iris know, and everything that has been home for a vast majority of Liliana and Booker's life, start to fade to silvery purple and pink and gray. And you see this kind of almost iridescent bubble-like shine that starts to stretch as far as you can see. And you realize you're seeing the crystal sphere. The boundary between wild space and the astral sea. And on the very last asteroid, positioned as close as it can get to this crystal sphere, you see a crooked, almost ramshackle-looking tower perched on the flat side of a rock, surrounded by rings of floating rocks and pebbles and twinkling cosmic dust. And on the very edge of this asteroid, jetting out back towards the center of realm space, a singular wooden pier. And As you get closer and closer, you see swarms of mollymocks and other space birds flying around this tower and around this asteroid as scavers and other large predatory fish are chasing them around. And you get a singular glint through a large window at the very top floor of the tower, which you can tell is a massive telescope. And Mr. Flinch just kind of nods as he sees it. Well, that'll be it. Welcome to Topless Tower. And that's where we're going to end it today.
Hey!
That was fun.
Go ahead.
So much wonderment in this campaign.
Move, you guys. Prepare to be blinded.
Ah!
Thank you for the warning.
Flashbang now.
Yo, the whole tower vibing.
When the tower's got the beat.
Hell yeah.